I'm back again with another video, and today is another occupational therapy related video. And today I'm going to be looking at how to secure a Band 5 physical health role. I decided to split it up into sections. Hopefully I will be doing another video on how to secure a mental health role, but because it's quite a lot to get through, we're going to just be talking about physical health today. Oh, sorry, the sun is it's doing its thing. Are we going, sun? Okay. Alright, it's gone. I'm just going to talk about my experiences with the 3 to 4 interviews that I did. I think I did 4 interviews. I kind of talk about this roughly in my the truth about my occupational therapy experience video. I will link it up above. So tip number 1 is, first and foremost, when you are applying for a job and looking at, say, a Band 5 rotational post or Band 5 static physical health role, you need to look at the person specification. Now, the person specification, in most times you will always have a person specification, as far as I am aware of, with occupational therapy, whether it's NHS or not. And the person specification, this basically gives you a great idea on what the employers are looking for. They will give you hints on what they're gonna, they will literally tell you what they're looking for in the interview and what they're looking for when you are applying for making an application, basically. So it's very, very handy. It literally basically spoon feeds you with what kind of questions they're going to probably be asking. When I was applying for physical health roles, all of them were rotational. If you're not aware, a rotation is where you can literally change up settings. Normally in the UK, every 6 months. They can range, they can vary, but I think the standard is every 6 months you rotate to a new setting just to get a feel for a different kind of area. And eventually I think most people then kind of find what they're really interested in and they kind of go for a static role, which is where you just stay in the same kind of role without moving around every 6 months. So the second tip would be, after dissecting the person specification, know about common physical health conditions. If this was a tip that I could give to this tip I feel like is the most important, one of the most important. You need to know about physical health conditions, because most times in the interview they're going to be asking you a range of scenarios. When I say know about physical health conditions, I mean know what they are. For example, dementia, stroke, falls, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, diabetes. Those are the main things I think would likely be flagged up. And when I say falls, just literally an elderly person most times, or anyone, but normally elderly people that come into hospital after a fall. Alongside that, I would say knowing about the impact that these conditions can have on somebody's functioning. So first, it's about knowing all these conditions and what they are. Second is about knowing the impact that these conditions can have on somebody's functioning. So the third tip I would say would be to think about how an occupational therapist could help people with these conditions. Just thinking about ways they could help. For example, someone with falls, maybe they're falling out of the bed because the bed is too high, or they just lose balance. So the things that you could put in place could be a bed rail. And if someone has like dementia, looking at how it could impact on someone's functioning. Often with dementia you can have memory related difficulties, increased level of frustration, aggression. Looking at ways you can get memory aids, like you could have post-it notes around the house. When you're looking at ways that an OT can support people with these different types of conditions, just think of it with your setting in mind. For example, an OT could provide support differently in the community versus an OT that works in a physical health hospital. I think this is the 4th tip. But the 4th tip would be to know about the different kind of assessments that you would likely have to do. The things that an OT would normally be doing is doing like a transfers assessment and doing a personal care assessment and wash and dress assessment, kitchen assessment. So these are the main things an OT would be doing, and then prescribing things like equipment, prescribing or recommending rather a package of care. Most times with the case studies, they will ask you how you're going to be able to help assist someone with in this particular scenario from start to finish, and often knowing the OT process will really help you answer those questions and make sure that you're not missing anything out. Because from what I feel I experience, they're looking for an in-depth kind of answer for scenarios that they're throwing at you, and how you would kind of go about helping these people within these particular situations and with these particular conditions that I kind of mentioned before. So yeah, that's what I would say. Know the OT process very well. Seventh tip I would say is to look into the policies around your physical health role or post that you're going for. For example, if you are applying for a community physical health role, there would be legislation around the community, for example, the Community Care Act. So just looking at different kind of legislation that you think would be involved with your setting, because often they will ask you these questions. A final tip I would say, normally the pattern was they would ask around 3 to 4 questions around the case study, case scenarios, and they would ask 3 to 4 general questions that if you've probably worked in retail or kind of health related job, you probably are familiar with these questions. So general questions I would say that were normally asked were things around why do you want this job? So things like, why do you want this job? What skills can you bring to the table? What would you do in the case of an emergency? What would you do if a colleague is doing something you're not sure about? Who would you report it to? What would you do? How well do you work under pressure? What do you do if you made a mistake? How do you rectify it? So those kind of general questions that you probably have come across. I'm assuming if people have worked. If not, then these are the kind of questions that you can literally just Google and have a look at how best to answer these questions. If I were to talk about how to answer all of these questions, it would take a very long time to do, but I'm just giving you the general kind of structure and kind of questions you could expect in these interviews and how best to prepare for it. So for the general questions, I would say just literally go on to Google, search up typical healthcare questions that you might have or receive, and hopefully that should help you with being able to prepare yourself and practice how to answer those kind of general questions. And also just being yourself, I would say it's really important to be yourself. Sometimes, even if you have done an interview, and I think this is what a lot of people don't often talk about, even if you have done an interview and you've done it really well, sometimes it's not even about your interview, it's about how well you fit into the team, how well they think you're going to fit into the team, your personality. Sorry if you hear the raining noise, but it's raining quite heavily. But yeah, how well you fit into the team, and how well they think your personality will mold with the rest of the team members. So just showing that you're a team player and just being yourself really, and what's for you will be for you. That's what I always say. As I said in my fourth and final interview that I went for with the physical health setting, I didn't feel like I did particularly well, and I really do feel like it's down to God and down to maybe my personality. But yes, those are my tips. Thank you so much for watching. The sun's come out again. I will see you again in the next video. Bye.